Hot Springs Village Inside Out is a closer look at the greatness of Hot Springs Village, Arkansas and the surrounding areas. People, places, experiences. Hot Springs Village is one of the most beautiful places on earth. Join me, Randy Cantrell, and my co-host Dennis Simpson as we engage in weekly conversations to explore Hot Springs Village Inside Out. Today's show is brought to you by Central Arkansas's favorite radio station, KVRE. Find them on the dial at 92.9 FM. Stream them live at kvre.com. RE/MAX of Hot Springs Village. The award-winning RE/MAX of Hot Springs Village is the largest real estate office inside the village with over 30 full-time agents and support staff. Visit them to learn more about this beautiful place to solve your real estate needs. Call them today at 1-800-364-9007. Find them online at explorehsv.com. They are RE/MAX of Hot Springs Village at 1-800-364-9007 or online at explorehsv.com. Ike Eisenhower State Farm. Ike and his award-winning team have been serving the insurance needs of folks all around Hot Springs Village since 1998. Ike has qualified for State Farm's President's Club, Chairman's Circle, and Hot Springs Village Insurance Agent of the Year. Call Ike Eisenhower State Farm today at 501-984-4100. That's 501-984-4100. Find them online at ikeeisenhower.net. Call them today for all your insurance needs because, like a good neighbor, Ike Eisenhower State Farm is there.
Here today with Mr. Shane Lester. Shane, I hear you're back stateside. You're not cruising anymore for the moment?
No more cruises right now. We got another few months back home before we head out again. So I think she's got 3 or 4 more booked all the way up through our 25th anniversary next year. So it'll be a good time.
That Caribbean tan looks good on you. I can see it from here.
That and the sun out here trying to play a little bit of golf every once in a while. So
at the village. Hey, listen, Shane, we have more and more people that I hear are moving from California and Dallas and other states, other places, Dallas and Texas and whatever. And they've got cash, and that's great. You know, they've sold their home, they've got cash. They're going to, change geography, and they're moving from Dallas, from Austin, from Houston, from California, SoCal, and they come here and they're kind of cash flush, and they say, "Man, I'll just buy a house with cash." Is that the best thing to do?
Well, all right. So remember, I come from a Dave Ramsey background on this. So a couple of things are going to come into play, in my opinion, right? One, is it going to take all their cash? Right? Is it going to take all? Are they going to be left with nothing? Two, if you let's reverse this for a minute. If you had a house and you had a $200,000 mortgage left on it, and you've got $300,000 sitting in the bank, right? Just sitting in a savings account. My question to you is, if your house was paid off and you only had $100,000 in the bank, would you go borrow $200,000 to get a mortgage to throw it in with the $100,000? Most people go, no.
Not at today's rates.
Well, yeah, even today's rates are, everybody's a little bit different on this. So most people answer no, and then they'll go, "Hey man, I'm paying my house off tomorrow." Well, great. That's what I would do. Right now, I'm not going to pay my house off with every dime I've got and have nothing left over. You got to have some emergency funds out there and stuff like that. But every person is different. The big thing we run into is they don't realize they can buy a house with 5% down. They don't realize that you don't have to put 20% down. Obviously, you avoid PMI if you do put 20% down. And if you can pay cash, I tell you what, if everybody could pay cash for their houses, I would go find a new business. That's me, right? I'm not into this borrowing money just to borrow money, right? If it's going to help get you there, great. But not too many people are paying cash on our side, but we hear more about it up in the village a lot, right? Plus, when they sell their house now, they're usually buying a little bit more. And so they're going to need more money if they're going to pay cash for it. We have a ton of people right now that will buy a house, sell their house, say in Arizona, and then do a recast. And a recast is where they make a big lump sum payment on their balance. So let's just say they buy a $500,000 house and they sell their house for $300,000. They put that because they don't want to sell it before they get a chance to move all out of everything, and they don't want to be rushed with everything. So what they'll do is they'll sell it, and then they'll put a $300,000 lump sum payment, and then the mortgage company will recast that mortgage as if that new balance is what their new they will recast it where the new balance is now amortized out over the lesser balance instead of what it started out as.
So
and it prevents people from refinance.
They don't have a $500,000 loan. They own $200,000 on. They have a $200,000 loan, right?
Exactly.
With a shorter pay period, with everything,
well,
right?
Still the same pay period. Still the same pay period. So remember, if they paid on it for 6 months, they'll take that remaining 29 years and 6 months and say, all right, if we had $200,000 mortgage today at this rate, at your rate that you have, what would that payment look like? And they'll adjust your payment down. So that recast is what a lot of people do right now.
So to rephrase my question, should you take cash and completely buy a whole new house and use your cash? And the answer is, it depends. Is that fair?
That's very fair. Everybody's situation is different. One size doesn't fit all. And that's even for the people that don't want to pay cash. I want to go buy 3 investment properties. I don't want to buy any investment properties personally, right? I've had my experiences. Some people love it. Right? Some people love playing that game. I don't like playing that game. I've had some horror stories in my investment days of houses, but other people love it. I got a buddy that's diametrically opposed to me. He said, I can invest in these houses and rent them and do them. That's great. I don't want the headache. Now, if you want to sell your house for 60 cents on the dollar because you need cash real quick, I'll write you a check, and then I'll put it on the market the next day and sell it for 90 cents on the dollar. Right. But as far as rental property, it's going to be different for everybody, just depending on what their risk level is, their cash flow. Right. But most people buying houses, rental properties these days, are just trying to get into the market because they saw something on late night TV and they haven't really looked at the full cost of it. You know, I'd love to see the numbers, what happened in COVID when some of these states told people they didn't have to pay rent anymore and these landlords couldn't kick them out. I wonder what happened to a lot of those people. You don't hear about that a whole lot, right? You remember what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, because some of the counties came in and said, well, you can't kick them out. You can't evict them because they can't pay because of COVID or whatever it may. I'm sitting here thinking, man, if I've got 7 rent properties and I've got them all mortgaged and I don't get payment for 2 years, I mean, how much longer can I live?
Who's underwater now? Who's underwater now, right? Well, and when I play the scenario back in my head, and I'm just trying to expound for everybody that has potential differences, right? You know, somebody may say, look, we don't have any children, so we're not thinking about any inheritance or any leaving anything to anybody. Maybe we want to take a loan and simply have our $300,000 in net proceeds help us live and make our payment until we pass, right? I mean, there's a lot of different options there, right?
As long as you don't run out of money too soon, right? As long as you have cash flow coming in each month, every situation is going to be different. So just knowing that those opportunities are there, and do you really want to spend your money? We had a client call, I've got a buddy that's putting $250,000 down on a house. And he goes, what would you do? I said, do you still have 40, 50,000 in savings? He says, I've got 50 in savings. I said, then I would put 250 down on the house. I would, absolutely. That'd be great. I said, but if you told me you're going to have $3,000 left over, I'd be like, no, I wouldn't do that. Not when you can put less down. And he's doing a 15-year mortgage because he wants to pay it off early and as soon as possible. Rate's a little bit better, not much, but a little bit these days. But so he decided to do that. And that was his exact question. Should I do this?
And like I say, it does depend. Let's talk about that outliving your money thing, right? And some people, you come in and you pay cash. What's the downside of that? Number one, you have a free house you don't have to make a payment on. That's great, right? There will be repairs, there will be insurance, there will be all other kinds of things that, you know, the homeowners are plagued with. But on the other side of that, you know, let's say that 10 years down the road, your health changes, your income changes. Now you own a house free and clear, but you're kind of cash poor. What can we do, Shane?
You got a couple options. You can always, 3 actually, or 4. You can sell the house, go buy something smaller and use the difference in the proceeds to help with whatever needs have come up. Go get a home equity line of credit. The problem with the home equity line of credit is the more you borrow, the higher the payment gets. And rumor has it, call those due just about any time for any reason, right? You can go get a cash out refinance, make monthly payments, right? But if your cash flow is tight, that's going to be tough. And then you always have that option, that reverse mortgage. And before everybody shuts down and turns off the little YouTube channel here about the reverse mortgage, don't shut it down until you know what the options are. Make sure you know what it is before you shut it down. It is amazing, the financial advisors, the CPAs, the estate attorneys that go, I had no idea. Right.
Well, why do people treat it like the third rail, Shane? They well, I guess if you don't have any other option, you could do a reverse mortgage. Like it's, I'm not going to put the bullet to my head, but I'll do a reverse. I don't see where it's that sinful. I'm confused. In the right instances, it may be a good solution, right?
Almost everybody we talk to, it's a good solution for them. They're just afraid to pull the trigger because they've got friends and family. I just sent an update on a lady we've been working with for 1.5 years with a financial advisor who has been advising her, this is the best way to get rid of your mortgage payment. So you stop pulling down all your assets, and pretty soon you're going to run out of assets and you're not going to be able to make your house payment anymore. Right? Years old. But her friends have her so scared of this product. I saw somebody post online the other day, and I got on there and I educated a few of them on it, but I got tired of going back and forth with some folks. Listen, you don't know why they did that. The retiree's not going to tell you their full story. The number one items that a person who does a reverse mortgage purchases when they free up monthly cash flow is their prescriptions. So that means they're doing without some prescriptions to give little Johnny his house because she wants to leave him an inheritance. I love the idea of leaving an inheritance. It's biblical, right? But also, at what point does the retiree, grandma, grandpa, mom, dad, do without so you can give them this house that they're going to sell and blow? So nobody can figure out why the negative nature continues to exist and why people want to talk about stuff that they have no idea about. I could show you a screen list of people popping off that had no idea. And a lot of them are friends with me on Facebook, and they know I do reverse mortgages. And anybody who knows me knows I'm not going to put a product out there that hurts somebody. Either it's going to help them or we're not going to do it. But when you have all of these negative influences on people that don't know, that's the part that hurts the most. And don't hurt your mom, dad, grandma, and grandpa. They don't want your money. They want to live on their own money and their own assets. And they really don't want you to know that they're hurting.
That is so true. And I wonder how many little Johnnies would be happy to pay for Granny's prescriptions to keep her from having to refinance her home. That number gets a little smaller sometimes too, doesn't it? When they know that Granny's in distress, right?
Or most of the people that have a mortgage when they're that old, when they're in that age group, is because they've helped their kids out so much that they have to have a mortgage, or they went and got that mortgage, helped them out. And, mom or grandma's living off of, $25,000, $35,000, $45,000 a year, but the kids can't live off 180 that they're making combined. And that's happened multiple times in the village where you've got she can't afford her home equity line of credit anymore, the monthly payments. And she took that first $75,000 out to give her son who made $150,000 a year.
He couldn't struggle by on 150, right?
He couldn't. And again, that's the part that stinks. And if they were able to help, we don't see that very often. Yeah. And then there's some that they can't help. And if you can't help your mom and dad, that's fine. At least help them explore options where they can help themselves.
Well, it's funny you should say. I had an uncle who recently passed in the last couple of years, and he was a trainer at Oaklawn. He was a Southern gentleman and just an incredible character. And in his day, I mean, big cash flow, everything. And he had a farm in Rossville. I'm sorry, just in, $1 million thoroughbreds. Well, comes down to the last few months of his life, and he doesn't want to talk to his caretaker about it. He doesn't want to talk to anybody else about it. I hop on and just do a little basic background search. Nobody even knew he had a reverse on his home because he didn't want to tell them that he was struggling for cash. He didn't want to say, hey, I'm a little cash strapped here right now. The house is completely paid for, but he did a reverse and didn't tell anybody about it, and didn't want to tell anybody. He has no heirs, so it wasn't a big deal.
And do you know what happens when he passes?
The note gets paid off.
The kids sell the house, right? They have a couple options. Mm-hmm. They can sell the house, pay off what's owed. If you have a regular mortgage when you pass away, your parents pass away or somebody passes away and you inherit the house, you can sell the house, pay off the mortgage, you keep the equity. Mm-hmm. The reverse mortgage is just a mortgage. And this was part of that conversation I was telling you about on Facebook. And some of the realtors were like, hey, I don't want to list a house that has a reverse mortgage on it. Why? It's really just a mortgage. If they're selling it for $250 and the balance is $170, the sellers still have $80,000 equity in there. Don't sign it over to the bank. Everybody still assumes that the reverse mortgage means the lender gets the house when you die, or the lender gets half of your equity, called equity sharing or equity splitting. That's not true. It's just a mortgage.
It's not the plague. It's just a mortgage, right?
It's just a mortgage. So who cares what kind of mortgage? I tell people, don't tell your realtor you have a reverse mortgage on it. Just tell them you want to sell your house, because they're going to list it for what they agreed to list it for. When they sell it, they sell it. The title company is going to call the reverse mortgage company, get a payoff, just like you would if it was a regular mortgage. And you pay it.
It is always incredibly helpful to talk to you. I hope that we've helped some people. I know there's a lot of people who watch and listen that have not pulled the trigger, that have been thinking this over in their head. I had a gentleman a few months ago who called and said, well, we're selling my mom's house and we're selling her father's house and we're bringing them with us and we're only going to have $1 million to come to the village. Can we get something nice? I said, which end of the lake do you want to buy? The east or the west?
End of the lake? Yes.
For $1 million, you could get a lot of home in Hot Springs Village for $1 million. Anyway, Shane, thanks. We'll see you around next time. Okay.
Appreciate you. Thanks, Dennis.
Thanks for watching and listening to Hot Springs Village Inside Out, a weekly podcast starring Hot Springs Village, Arkansas. Visit the website at hotspringsvillageinsideout.com.